All right, here we are. I guess if you're watching this, you know that my name is Jason Olborn, and I was one part of a really good Australian news show that is no more. And this will be the last edition for that era in Australian independent media. And a little bit of a lump in the throat as we address what's going on. I was asked not to use the Daily Australian Substack page, but I have to because we have a bunch of subscribers there on that page that are owed the courtesy of being able to round up what we're doing right here. So, on Friday, we were, both of us, promising you that I would come back on Tuesday with a report from where I was at the weekend on the Gold Coast at the Free Speech Summit. And I got to attend that event. And as it turned out at the last minute, I was asked to stand in and become the MC for the entire event from 9 till 6 on Saturday, from 8 until 11 on Saturday night for the awards, and then backing up again 9 till 6 on Sunday. Very grateful to stand up and do that for the opportunity to represent the people of Australia for a Free Speech Summit. And of course, at that event, free speech, really important. It means that things can get ugly. So what's the alternative? To censor free speech? Wasn't that exactly what we have been fighting for against the last 5 years? So with that in mind, that was the mission statement. And I think it was a pretty good event. And certainly there were things that hurt my ears, and there were things that hurt other people's ears. And other people cheered and clapped. And that's the point. But I tell you what, I got to attend the event live with other people such as Joel Jamal, John Larter, Roland Crystal, Michael Gray-Griffith, Dave O'Neiggs, Ross Cameron, Adrian McRae, and many more. And many who watched this show. And it was great to meet you all there just the same. Now, I got to interview on stage Steve Kirsch, somebody who I'd wanted to and reached out to in the past, and got to interview him on multiple occasions and learnt some really, really interesting stuff. And I got to ask him some questions about his story and what happened to him when he took the experimental medicine and what it meant for the rest of his career. Also got to speak to other people on stage, and the people off stage got to ask questions just the same. I was approached by a member of SBS for a documentary that they were making about free speech. And when I challenged that person from the stage, they turned their head and walked away. So what does that say about what we're really doing here? Are we making a difference? And are we presenting facts and figures that are compelling enough to change people's minds? I think we are. And I think we're making a big enough difference. But I don't appreciate when mainstream media rocks up thinking they're going to create a hit piece. So we have to be able to deal with that as well. But I'm up for the cause, and I'm up for the chase, and I'm up for the hunt, and I'm up for all of that stuff. But it's got to be on a level playing field. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to attend the Free Speech Summit, was to explain to people the need for independent media to step up a notch, to lift our game, the quality, a code of conduct, to organise and to become an equal with the mainstream media, even if they don't believe that we are. But in doing so, we get to do what they do and create the debate. And that is what it is all about. We can't exist in a silo anymore. We can't just talk in our own echo chambers anymore. Things must change, and that's a difficult task. And to do that, you have to be able to reach new audiences, whichever way that goes about. And opportunities come up from time to time where you're able to try and do that. And for me, I started out in my bedroom reporting COVID stats. And from there, I got picked up and offered a radio show, which was a bit of a miracle, but obviously people saw something in me that was pretty good. It's where I met my partner here on this show a few years back, where we first kicked it off and returned again a few years later to put this show together. But it also meant that there are other opportunities. And when you do this independent media business, this game really is because it's a calling. You don't do it because you apply for a job and someone looks at your resume and says, here you go, here's a job that's going to pay you $70,000, $80,000 a year and go to work all day and all night and do this and go home and that's it. On the contrary, you do this because you feel that you have to, that you have been called to do it. And that means that you will come from approaches that are unique because you find that there is something missing out there that you can fill. That is how this happens. And mine was reporting stats that no one else saw, and it expanded from there. And of course, there were many subjects that I like to talk about and many, many more that I want to explore. Resulted in doing hundreds of interviews on the radio and being introduced to incredible people from all walks of life, professionals, doctors, lawyers, business people, CEOs, TV stars, school teachers, nurses, so many other great people along the way, experts in their fields, military, police, judges, lawyers, all of them, the above, religious scholars, etc. Very exciting. People have written books, people have written articles, people have done things, people that have had things happen to them. And this is part of the storytelling process. And I believe that each day that we do it, we get better at what we do. So it was a great event at the weekend. And during that event, like you, I learnt that this show would be no longer. And many of you learnt before me because I was out working on stage and interviewing various different people and presenting and going through the beautiful process of being an MC and engaging with an audience. So whilst I am sad that this show must come to an end, I don't have any regrets for the feeling that what I was doing was out there working to make a difference. And I'll continue to do that. And so this show does cease today in what is the de facto episode 137. And as you can see at the bottom of the screen, a heartfelt message from me. On the screen also, you'll see my X address and you'll also see my Substack page. That is my private Substack page, jasonqcitizen.substack.com. And it is there because all of you who have been members of the Substack page are invited to come across. And all paid subscribers to the Daily Australian, when you come across, you automatically get an upgrade to a free paid subscription that matches what you had over at the Daily Australian. And equally, if you don't want to do that, you are entitled to a partial refund, obviously for the time that you were, and for the 50% share that obviously that was my end of that bargain. I can't speak for my partner there, and just send your messages in and we'll process them for you. Now, in the meantime, as we prepare to say, I do, my final goodbyes, I just want to bring up two quick stories for you that I think are really important to just talk about where we are right now. This is today. First story concerns the Greens, and the co-founder has been expelled from the party after a trans and queer cult claim. A huge row has erupted in the Greens over trans rights and claims an intolerant trans and queer cult has taken over the party. And so it is that the co-founder of the Australian Greens has been officially expelled from the party after warning the party has been taken over. Drew Hutton's life membership has been terminated by delegates of state branches on Sunday. Party officials releasing a statement insisting that trans rights are non-negotiable human rights. But the 78-year-old has hit back with a warning that the Greens have been taken over by an intolerant cult. Hutton said he did not intend to say anything about the transgender issues themselves, but was concerned about party democracy and the need for discussion and debate in the Greens that is both open-minded and respectful of other views. Like many other party members, I've become a victim of this cult, he wrote in The Australian. I was expelled from the party not because I made statements that opposed key beliefs of the Greens, but because I refused to censor comments on a couple of Facebook posts that asserted that men are biological males and women were biological females. The cult position is that people are whatever gender they define themselves as. Anyone who disagrees with that position must be expelled, or if they are not party members, they should be otherwise cancelled. I was therefore told I had to censor all such comments from my Facebook posts. I refused on free speech grounds, and so my membership was suspended, and then I was expelled when I continued to refuse. So even the Greens, which are the closest thing we have to a communist party in this country, are divided themselves over the rights to free speech. So if we, censor free speech, something that we don't like, we are acting as the communists would. And that just doesn't hold. And therefore, perhaps this is the reason why certain things must be done and said. Now, when I think about the circumstances that led to the divide, was it a matter of an opinion? Was it a matter of an association? Or was it a matter of something else? Well, there's an official stance, and you can speculate if you want to. My position is, don't worry about it. We can't change what's happened in the past. What we can do is look forward to the future. And that future for mine has always been, how do we navigate the pitfalls, understand the black pills, use our weakness as our strength, and turn the system around to make it in the image that we want for ourselves and our children and their children as we make our way through our lives and eventually pass it on to the next generation. And I refuse to believe that this is doomsday. It looks pretty bad, but what were we born for? To be victims or to be out there and to survive and thrive? That is what I have always planned to do. I always thought that this period, this 10-year period that we're in, will result in positive change. And I feel we are very, very close. And I was hoping that this show was going to be the one that I was in when we chronicled that great revolution that I feel is just moments away. But as it turns out, it will have to be somewhere else. And that somewhere else I'll announce on my Substack and Twitter pages over the next couple of days. One hopefully with brand new announcements that I think are pretty cool and will only expand. So from there is some pretty cool stuff coming. There will be the interviews that I promised or that would come up, some of which will be exclusive and challenging. And there'll be, of course, a brand new second show that's coming out as well. And I'll be interviewing people from here in Australia, from the United States, and from the rest of the world as well. I will open that back up, as my interviewing is one of my great loves in the business that I'm doing here. And of course, I love reporting the news and the facts, and I will accommodate that in a new show. One of the other things that I believe that is lacking here is a connection to the younger generation, and I'll be working towards introducing new young people into news and interviews and opinions and getting to find out what they understand and what they want and what they feel is missing for them. And hopefully we'll be able to open up a debate with those that want to challenge them. So we're going to renew, we're going to modernize and come up with great new concepts. So for that, I'm absolutely thrilled. Now, the last story that I'll bring up before we sign off is this astonishing thing that has also popped up today, and it concerns this. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's called The Velvet Sundown, inside the bizarre truth about a popular band, the bizarre story of a band that is so popular it is getting 1.5 million monthly listeners on Spotify. They've now released their fourth album, but we find out that the band is 100% fake. It's artificial intelligence. They're not real people. It is all designed by computer program, and people are absolutely loving what they're saying, if you can believe that. And so we live in an age where we face the threat of AI, transhumanism, which for mine is when that chip goes into their head for somebody to be able to gain competitive advantage to get a job. And at that point, that's the big cutoff. I'm not going to get into the details of it, but I'll talk about it on other forums. But what I learned from Steve Kirsch at the weekend about AI and what I learned recently from John Eastman about AI is just the beginning. And there is two sides to every story, as there always is. And so I will back my associations. I will be proud and stand up for what I believe in, and I will do whatever I can to be able to be your representative and those for all Australians in bringing free speech, legitimising independent media, and raising the standards as high as we can possibly get, even if we have to muck around with the riffraff and the rat bags and be vilified and all of the rest of the stuff that we have to do to get there. Well, you have to grow a thick skin in this business when you put your mug up there to get knocked off, but that is the whole point. So for all of you out there that have followed and supported and this show and myself, I thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in a brand new, guys, on the other side of this on another platform. Please note there where you can find me, Jason Q Citizen 1 on X, jasonqcitizen.substack.com. And I thank everyone for being a part of this fantastic adventure as we say goodbye to the Daily Australian. And I thank you for supporting independent media. That's us, all out for 137. And may we all achieve the goals that we had hoped for and never have to deal with tyranny ever again. Well, that's going to be a challenge, but we're going to keep going until we cannot. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, for Jason Olbourne signing out right now. See ya on the next show, wherever that may be.